So, let's talk about something we all know, a world that feels like it's built on distraction. How do we find the focus to do our best, most meaningful work? Well, that's what we're digging into today, using Cal Newport's incredible book, Deep Work, as our guide. Okay, let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar? Your day is just packed. Emails, meetings, notifications pinging left and right. You feel busy, for sure, but are you actually productive? And at the end of the day, do you get that nagging feeling that nothing truly important got done? Yeah, you are not alone. And this is the exact problem that deep work is all about solving.
At the very heart of this whole idea is a really simple but, wow, super powerful distinction. On one side, you've got deep work. This is the good stuff, right? Intense, focused concentration that really pushes your skills and creates something of real value. Think of a programmer just completely lost in their code, hunting down a bug, or a writer crafting that one perfect chapter. And then on the other side, you've got shallow work. This is all the low-value, logistical stuff like answering endless emails or scheduling meetings that fills our days but doesn't really move the needle.
All right, so if deep work is so incredibly valuable, why is shallow work totally taking over our professional lives? I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? Well, Newport argues that our modern work culture has maybe accidentally, maybe not, systematically engineered distraction right into its DNA.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Our modern workplaces, it's almost like they're designed to sabotage concentration. You've got these open offices, right? Supposedly to foster collaboration, but what they really do is create a constant stream of interruptions. Then there's the instant messaging culture that demands an immediate response, shattering whatever focus you had. And don't even get me started on the pressure to maintain a professional social media presence. It all just pulls us away from the work that actually matters. In knowledge work, it's actually kind of hard to measure true productivity. So what do? We fall back on what we can see. We see someone firing off emails like a machine gun, and we think, wow, they're so effective. We see a calendar that's just slammed with meetings, and we call it progress. This busyness becomes a stand-in, a proxy. It's like a performance of work that's really just masking a lack of real, deep accomplishment. And this right here, this reveals the hidden cost of all that task switching. It's called attention residue. So when you just glance at an email and then try to go back to your big project, your brain doesn't just make a clean switch. No way. It leaves behind this cognitive residue from the email. This mental fragmentation means you're literally never giving 100% to what's in front of you, and your performance just tanks because of it.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem, right? Our world is basically a minefield of distractions. But here's the cool part. Newport says that inside this very problem lies an incredible opportunity. In an economy that desperately needs focus, the ability to do deep work has become a modern-day superpower.
Let's zoom out for a second. We're living through what economists call a great restructuring. Technology, automation, AI, it's all advancing at this breakneck pace, and a lot of skills are becoming obsolete, like overnight. This isn't just some slow, gradual change. It's creating a sharp, sudden divide in the workforce. And in this new economy, you can see three groups really pulling away from the pack. First, you've got the high-skilled workers, the ones who can actually work with all this complex new technology. Then you have the superstars, the people who are the absolute best in their field on a global scale. And finally, of course, you have the owners of capital, the ones who can afford to invest in these new tools. So the big question is, how do you make sure you're on the winning side of this divide? Newport boils it down to two core abilities. Number one, you have to be able to master hard things and do it quickly. And number two, you need to be able to produce at an elite level, both in quality and in speed. And this right here is the central thesis of the entire book. Deep work. That's the key. That's how you develop both of those abilities. It is the engine for rapid learning and elite-level production. And here's the kicker. Because our culture is eroding this skill in almost everyone else, those who manage to cultivate it gain this immense competitive advantage.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? I mean, how do you retrain a brain that's been wired for distraction its whole life? Well, the good news is Newport doesn't just diagnose the problem. He gives us a clear, actionable playbook.
His whole framework is built on 4 key rules. They are work deeply, embrace boredom, quit social media, and drain the shallows. Let's break them down.
All right, rule number one, work deeply. The idea here is you have to systematize your focus. Just relying on willpower alone, that's not going to cut it. It's a finite resource that runs out. Instead, you build rituals. Have a specific place you go, a set time, a clear process for shutting down every single distraction. This structure makes slipping into that deep work state almost effortless.
Okay, rule 2 is a bit of a mind bender. Embrace boredom. Newport suggests this radical shift in how we think about breaks. Most of us, we work for a bit, then we take a break with a distraction, right? We check our phones. He says, flip that. We should schedule specific, limited blocks for distraction. The rest of the time, we need to just learn to be bored. This trains our brain's focus muscle and starves its addiction to constant stimulus.
Now, rule number 3, quit social media. This isn't just about deleting apps, it's about changing your mindset. See, most of us use what he calls an any benefit approach. If a tool offers any tiny, plausible value, we keep it. Newport says we need to adopt a craftsman's approach instead. A craftsman is absolutely ruthless with their tools. They ask, does the benefit of this thing massively outweigh its cost to my focus and attention? If the answer isn't a loud, clear yes, it's gotta go.
And finally, rule number 4, drain the shallows. This is all about being super intentional about minimizing that low-value work. One great tactic is to schedule every single minute of your day. It forces you to confront just how much time is being eaten up by shallow tasks. The software company 37 Singles, they famously tried a 4-day work week and found their productivity stayed exactly the same. Why? Because the time constraint just squeezed out all the shallow, inefficient fluff. But really, this is about so much more than just a productivity hack. Newport's final and, I think, most powerful argument is that a commitment to deep work doesn't just change how you work, it fundamentally changes how you live. It leads to a much more meaningful and satisfying life.
The core idea is actually pretty simple. What you pay attention to literally shapes your reality. So a life spent jumping between a million shallow distractions is gonna feel, well, shallow and fragmented. But a life that carves out space for deep, sustained focus on meaningful challenges, that's gonna feel richer, more coherent, and ultimately way more fulfilling. Newport uses this awesome example of a craftsman, like a blacksmith forging a sword. The satisfaction they get doesn't just come from the finished product, right? It comes from the deep, focused engagement with the materials, the fire, the skill itself. And his argument is that we knowledge workers can and absolutely should reclaim that sense of craftsmanship by dedicating ourselves to depth. And this isn't just some nice philosophy. It creates immense, tangible value. The founding of Microsoft is the perfect example. When Bill Gates saw the first personal computer, he didn't just have an idea. He dropped everything and entered a 2-month state of obsessive, deep work. I mean, sleeping at the keyboard kind of focus. He came out the other side with this software that literally launched an entire industry. That is the power of uninterrupted focus. So ultimately, this whole thing really comes down to a choice. We can keep living in this state of reactive, shallow busyness, or we can deliberately choose to cultivate the ability to truly focus. And as Newport argues, making that choice isn't just a small improvement. It's a total transformation. And that's really the final question this whole idea leaves us with. If you were to really carve out regular, sacred time for deep, uninterrupted work, what skill could you finally master? What incredible project could you finish? What new value could you bring into the world? The potential is just extraordinary.